A journey to the end of the earth to bring back wicked wax. Yes, while not every item I sought could be located, and others were indeed found, but could not be retrieved for legal or logistical reasons, my journey to the northern wilds of Michigan did yield a modicum of success, in that I retrieved a good many of my favorite vinyl records, some of which I have possessed since childhood, thus marking my formative years and my introduction into misanthropic underground rock. And I shall now take as much of the time as you are willing to grant me to detail every single one of them. Let's have a look, shall we? The first find was In Lust by The Dance, an interesting but short-lived project from the early 80s mutant disco era. In Lust features some remarkable bass playing by a fellow YouTuber whose name escapes me now. It also features an evocative cover, which I shall give you a moment to decipher. Anybody tell what's going on here? How about now? Moving onward, we have... What have we here? It's... Who could that be? Is that the visage of Jean-Jacques Burnel, the mighty bassist? It could be that our dear departed Hugh Cornwell, the venerable Jet Black, and the mighty Dave Greenfield on a massive swelling organ. Yes, it's Stranglers' No More Heroes iconic second album. No further explanation necessary. Next up, it's Two Nuns and a Pack Mule by a band whose name I won't even say. Beautiful. And what have we here? An unmarked white jacket with a hole cut out. It is a big black nameless EP that Steve Albini did not want to be released, including 3 live songs, 2 studio songs, Big Money and Il Duce, a major classic. This item was an attempt by Homestead Records to create a collector's item that one could charge mad money for. Steve Albini was not happy when he found that that EP was secretly being sold outside of Chicago, right under his nose. Onward and upward, it's the Holy Grail, Shellac. And what's this? A big black single stuck in. Heartbeat. No lovey-dovey shit here. The next of the many, many Steve Albini works we shall find is At Action Park, the first full-length album by Shellac, featuring some excellent microphones. The lyrics for our shortest song were provided by Jenny the Mouse McNeely, and the legendary Russian microphone company, Loma. It may look like it's spelled Lomo, but people who know Russian know otherwise. Onward and upward, it is PJ Harvey, Rid of Me. Very rocking guitar playing. And PJ Harvey Dry, recorded by Steve Albini, also featuring very rocking guitar playing and singing. Oh, nostalgia blossoms in my heart as I find one of my very first vinyl records of all, the Another Day, Another Dollar EP by the Gang of Four, of course, featuring To Hell with Poverty, Capital, It Fails Us Now, a live rendition of Cheeseburger, and What We All Want, one of my favorite Gang of Four songs. This I cannot say enough good things about. For maybe the highest concentration of really good songs available on one piece by the Gang of Four. What happened to this poor guy? The Nameless EP 10-inch is by Slint, although there is not a trace of any name on it except Touch and Go Records. I know the names of the songs, I just forgot them. They're real good, but there are only two. Another short-lived project from long ago, it's Treat Her Right, the first recording with Mark Sandman on vocals, low guitar, and guitar before he took up his illustrious career on the two-string slide bass and Morphine. Wow. What year is this? 1989. When I believe Mr. Sandman was at the tender age of 38. Yes. Head, one of the Chief Jesus Lizard albums worth having, featuring One Evening, My Own Urine, If You Had Lips, Wax Eater, Titan, Shiny, Good Thing. Another nostalgic piece for me. I believe this may have been one of the first 10 albums I ever owned on vinyl. It's Susie and the Banshees, Juju. Almost certainly their best album. Spellbound, Arabian Nights, Halloween, Monitor, Night Shift, Sin in My Heart, Headcut, and Voodoo Dolly, and featuring this guy, John McGeoch, our dear departed excellent guitarist who played in Magazine for a while in Susie and the Banshees. He played on their best albums. He was a genius. He's dead now. But his legend lives on excellent albums like, The Peel Sessions, another Gang of Four album with 4 out of 4 excellent songs. I Found That Essence Rare, Return the Gift, 5:45, and At Home He's a Tourist. John Peel sessions were always very well recorded, and I believe this captures the best live sound of the Gang of Four, better than the slightly emasculating production on Entertainment. Moving right along, shall we? An Athens, Georgia band, far better than REM or the B-52s. It's Pylon. I cannot say enough good things about this. I bought multiple copies. I love this album so much. It's called Gyrate. And it's got, it's Vanessa Ellison, Michael Lakowski on the bloody bass, Curtis Crow on the drums, I forget their names and I have to look at them, and our dear departed Randy Bewley on guitar. His death was tragic and horrific, and I'm glad I can listen to this album over and over again because his guitar playing on it was really cool. Next up, it's another mighty release, number 2 live studio LP by Shellac. It's Terraform, featuring the longest first song ever, Didn't We Deserve a Look at You the Way You Really Are, which is widely purported to be about Courtney Love, although it may also be about a fictitious character of Steve Albini's creation, who knows. Another Steve Albini note, it's Bulldozer, a re-release of I believe the original came in a acid-etched galvanized steel jacket, which cost a ton of money to produce, but this is the affordable second edition of it, featuring firecrackers, which Big Black were known for setting off live. Furthermore, in the big black catalog, it's Racer X. This album had two different covers. It had one of my favorites, Shotgun, the infamous Deep Six, Sleep, and the James Brown cover, The Big Payback. Very good EP, very well recorded. And the tragic final album, Big Black. Nothing tragic about it, actually, because it'll rock your socks off. It songs about fucking, featuring a Kraftwerk cover, Fish Fry, Pavement Saw, El Dopa, Casimir S. Pulaski Day, and an interesting back cover and front cover. I never knew the artist behind this, so if anybody can tell me, it's Jacket Made in Canada, for all I know. And closing out the first wave of Big Black recordings, it's Lungs, the first EP. Steve Albini says he's embarrassed to listen to this now, but I actually think it's one of their best releases. It's so weird sounding. He recorded it in his apartment on spring break on a 4-track borrowed for a case of beer. I think it sounds awesome. So weird. It's Lungs EP. Another of my very earliest purchases was Electropura by Yo La Tengo, my favorite album by them. It has a song called Flying Lesson, Hot Chicken No. 1, which sounds a lot like Sonic Youth. I love it. Very good album. Oh yes, Big Black, we can't get away from you. It's Headache, of course, in the affordable second release. Headache was infamous. The original release featured a shotgun blast to the head, an autopsy photo of a man whose head could hardly be pieced back together after he blew his own brains out. This pales in comparison. The album in its original release had to be sold in a canvas bag that was sealed, leading to its name Body Bag, and I believe it's worth $500 if you haven't opened it, and perhaps $200 if you have. Pure Ubo, the modern dance. Maybe it's Per Ubo, I don't know how to pronounce it. Iconic band from Cleveland, I believe, who are known for being really weird, and I like them a fair amount. Now we get into the other band other than Big Black that I try to collect almost everything of. It's the Stranglers with The Men in Black, the gospel according to the Men in Black about aliens intervening in our affairs on earth, thus leading to plausible explanations of biblical miracles. The album was not a commercial success, leading to my purchasing of it for $3.78 many years ago. The album was such a failure that they had to start writing pop songs in order to be avoided and getting kicked off their label, leading to the development of Golden Brown, maybe the only Strangler song that everybody knows, thanks to the movie Snatch. Okay, here's an album I bet nobody's heard of. It's Valentino, number 1. Where is this band from? Bosnia. But back when there was an actual Yugoslavia. It says it was recorded in Zagreb, so maybe they're from Croatia. Although somehow I think they're from Sarajevo. Whatever. Now we got songs Rendezvous, Pazi na Ritam, Zaboravi moj broj, Forget My Number, about a breakup. Crvena svjetla su daleko, The Red Lights Are Far Away. Da Javo, I don't know what that means. Volim te još, I Still Love You. My favorite song in this album is a little bit like Gang of Four, and I try to learn a little bit of my favorite language, Serbo-Croatian, when I listen to this. It sort of sounds like a Balkan version of The Police. Incidentally, Valentino has no other good albums. That was the only one. And here we go with the iconic album, Generic Flipper. I don't think I need to say any more about these guys except that look at that. And this is the perfect supplement to another thing, because I love flippers so much I can't stop collecting all of their shit. The 10-inch single generic flipper. And you even get a picture of these guys. One of them's dead now, maybe even two. Oh yes, and we're far from the end here, so bear with me. It's the double album re-release. Blonde Redhead, La Mi Vita Violenta, and... oh, it's not a double album. Oh, yes it is. Wait a minute, what do we got here? Let's get to the bottom of this. We got Smells Like Records, Steve Shelley's label, which he put out some good shit on. The mighty Sonic Youth drummer, not to be trifled with. 2 albums in here, re-release on vinyl. What do we have here? It's Blonde Redhead, something, something, something. Oh, fuck it. Good value for money. Maybe it's just called Blonde Redhead, their first album. Anyway, first 2 albums of a band that has started out real good and went on to do many, many, many awesome other things. Kazu, something, something, a heartthrob of many in the indie rock scene. 2 twins from Italy on drums and guitar. Yeah. Blonde Redhead. I saw him open for shellac. Here we go. Wire a bell as a cup until it is struck with silk skin paws and the finest drops and a lot of other good shit. Boiling Boy. This album is from 1988, I believe, and people said that Wire were getting boring at this time because it's kind of easy to listen to in comparison with some of the other shit, but if you give it a chance, I think you'll find it's a good album. It's very different from Pig Flag and Chairs Missing and all that stuff they had at the beginning. And now here we go. This is a real masterpiece. Unique album, 6 songs, but long ones. It's Slint, Spiderland, a band that didn't end up putting out that many albums, but this one was unique and there's nothing else like it. And Steve Albini actually did not work on this one, but I believe it was his favorite album by them. Oh yes! What do we have here? Is it Mammary Glands? I think it is. And who is this lovely lady? We shall never know. Or maybe we shall. It's the Pixies, Cerva Rosa. Their hands down best album before they went on to do stuff that kind of sucked. We got Bone Machine and Gigantic featuring Kim Deal on vocals. River Euphrates with also some good Kim Deal backing vocals. Cactus, Where's My Mind? Oh My Golly, another version of Vamos where you can hear guitar strings breaking and being unwound on record. You all know this album, so I don't need to go on about it. Oh, now, speaking of more Steve Albini stuff, it's Bud, a Rape Man. Oh, I said their name and I wasn't supposed to. Produced by Fluss, a cat, who is now dearly departed cat. They trademarked this name. I wonder, I heard it's about a Japanese comic in which a vile and reprehensible superhero does vile and reprehensible things. So what do we got? We got that song Bud, a very long song about Bud Dwyer, congressman or no, some kind of politician who shot himself live on camera. And it's also about Steve Albini's neighbor named Bud, who was a really nice guy. Don't know the story there. It's got Super Pussy, that's a good song. Recorded live. They could really play live. And they got Ray Washam on the drums. Maybe one of the best drummers. Depends on what you have to say. This is the first Stranglers record I ever had. Oral sculpture, and that's A-U. Don't get any funny ideas here. They're talking about ears, as you can see. I was cautioned about this album because it's from their 80s easy listening period, but it's got good shit on it. The guy told me, maybe you won't like it so much because they're not as hard as they used to be, but I like the album alright, except for the ridiculous Mad Hatter at the end. And this actually has some hits. Skin Deep, Let Me Down Easy, No Mercy, etc. Stranglers. I got everything they have. So I got a lot of good shit and a lot of bad shit, but they're still one of my top 5 favorite bands, and now it's another Blonde Redhead album. This is the first one I got from them right after I saw them open for Shellac. Oh, how I love this one. It's fake can be just as good as the real thing. This has got this. I would recommend this as the first Blonde Redhead album to buy. It features a guy from Unwound, I think, on the bass, and it was their last album with a bass player. They went on to be a 2-guitar, 1-drum trio, and Kazu, our sweet sister, played the baritone guitar, an instrument I like a lot. Next up, it's the second album of Pylon, the legendary best band out of Athens, Georgia. It's not quite as consistent as the iconic album Gyrate, but it does feature Snaggly Tooth top here, the Dinosaur, and actually some very, very good songs such as K, opening track, and Crazy, a song that REM went on to cover. These guys were much, much better than REM. Only did a couple albums. Guy died recently after they reformed. Very tragic. I'm not mentioning that lightly. And now we got the true holy grail of beautiful shit. It's the Stranglers' first album, Ratos Norvegicos or Norvegicos. This is the album that started it all, with the first truly bass prominent recording I've ever heard from 1977. Jean-Jacques Banal on the bloody bass, ripping things up. Songs like Sometimes, Peaches, Princess of the Streets, Hanging Around and Down in the Sewer, and all the good shit. And Get a Grip on Yourself, which is widely hailed as the first alternative rock single. Back when alternative rock was good, of course. 1977. The point where pub rock meets with punk rock. The Stranglers' legendary career was launched. Speaking of holy grails, this one might actually be worth something if it were in better condition. It's the Ascension by Glenn Branca, the guy who widely inspired Sonic Youth to do the crazy shit they do because Lee Ronaldo and Thurston Moore played in his band. And we got cover art by Robert Longo, who had a series on businessmen writhing in agony. What happened here? And look, it's Glenn Branca himself rocking out, and right next to him, his right-hand man, it's Lee Ronaldo. A very early stage in his career. That man did awesome shit. So did Glenn Branca. I'd recommend trying it out sometime. Not easy to find. It's Flipper's second LP, Gone Fishin'. What have we here? You're encouraged to cut out these little pictures of the band and make some kind of toys out of it. I don't know. I would never do that though, because this album was not easy to find. I believe I only found it when I went to New York. Anyway, it's not quite as in your face as generic Flipper, but it's a classic. Flipper. When you just get sick of music, Flipper suffered for their music, and now it's your turn. And that brings us to the singles. The Jesus Lizard. What is this called? Lash. 3 singles, 3 7-inch singles all together. Live recordings that really, really rocked. Glamorous being the most notable of them. This band was a killer act live, and sometimes they finished their songs twice as fast as they did when they're starting. And here we go, Spit Boy. She was a columnist from Maximum Rock and Roll. Adrian. I was happy to find her record. It's good, and they really rock. Pretty brutal for a lot of people's taste. And here we go with Mudhoney. Grunge are us. They got Hate the Police. You got it. Keep it out of my face. In and Out of Grace. And I think that's it. Live in Europe, spring 1989. They went to Europe, rocked the fuck out of the place. And then they came back. Kept on rocking. And I saw them not too long ago here in Hamburg. Rocking old men at the age of whatever. And I believe that's all for us now. No, it's not. No, it's not. When we get to the Big Black, the model, a Kraftwerk cover featuring on the other side, what is it now? 2 covers, 2 sides, and this is them trying to look like Cheap Trick. Look at that. That's the bass player. Look at Steve Albini in his adorable wig. And look at Santiago Durango mimicking Rick Nielsen. Santiago was a much better guitarist, if you ask me. At least I like him more. And now they're trying to look like Kraftwerk. Are they doing a good job of it? You be the judge. And closing out our session, it's Minutemen with the Tourspiel EP. Band I think inspired almost everybody, although I'm not the hugest fan in the world, but they were really good, wrote interesting shit. Yeah, D. Boone died in a car crash and he flew out the back end of his tour van. That was a long, long time ago. And then our man here, what's his name? I can't believe this. Mike Watt, how could I forget? Legendary bass player. Almost stopped playing music after the death of his bandmate, but I'm glad he continued because he did some good shit after that. So, if you're even watching this at the end, I salute you. To those who are about to die, I salute you. And my great mission ends here with some of the wicked wax back in my possession. Next step, find my fucking Sonic Youth records. Thanks, Mom.